Genius TV is interviewing one of Chicago's most versatile photographers, Victor Powell. So glad you could be here with us today. So Victor, how long have you been an entrepreneur?
Well, the length of time for me being an entrepreneur started early in my career without realizing that I would be here by that time. It was something that I really truly wanted to do, I had a passion for, and I met someone who realized that I had a talent for it. And the business side of bringing in business gave me an opportunity to take care of one of the things that I always enjoyed doing, which was brain teasers. The business side of business for me is like solving a brain teaser. It satisfies my head because the reputation when I was starting out, they said most photographers are, they said most good photographers make poor businessmen and most good businessmen make poor photographers. And I'm like, well, what about somebody who has both? And I found a way to utilize my problem-solving skills to utilize them in a business acumen to create a successful business. Now, a lot of it was best guess on certain degrees, or at least it felt like it at the time. But in hindsight, I can look back and see that I was actually being guided from a belief in something that I never saw myself as failing. So when you believe in like that, you will draw to you whatever that you need to help you create the success that you believe in.
How did you get into photography? Was it a passion?
When I decided to embark into a photography career and a photography business, I did my homework and started going to all the different programs. The government had a lot of free programs and things to talk about getting in business between your SBA and SCORE and those kinds of things. There's a lot of resources that you can use. And one of the ones that was about how you set your business up and you do your business plan, you do your projections for how you expect your business to be. And that one was one of the biggest puzzles for me because how do I project forward how much money that I'm going to make when I've never done it before? So they would tell me that there's these lists of information which would give you what we call business ratios that you would use to put your projections together. I was like, okay, no problem, let me go find these lists. Lo and behold, there was nothing for my industry in those lists. Not for the type of photography, like I said, the neighborhood sort of photography studio kinds of things. There were numbers for commercial photographers, and that's about it. So I basically spent the first 5 years in business creating my own series of numbers so that I can do my projections and things and be ready for the times when I needed to go out to try to find some funding. Initially, I put the money together myself that I initially had. I had an uncle gave me $1,000 as seed money to kind of get me going. I had already borrowed some money to buy some equipment before I embarked upon the business side of this as a professional career. So I did that while I was still learning to become good at what I do. I had to get better equipment. So I took that $1,000 and that was, for me, that was a lot of money. Back 30, 40 years ago, that was a lot of money to get started with. And I kept my day job, so to speak, my night job, which kept my days free. So I was able to go to work in the evening and work my business throughout the day. So my initial monies was funded by my paycheck. I had very, very low needs for myself personally, so all the money went into the business. And I began to start hustling with my camera. And every opportunity I had to make some money with my camera, I would do it. And that was what produced the seed money while I was preparing myself to create some numbers that I would be able to put together the projections that all the business seminars, I think, said that I needed to do.
Going out on your own really isn't an easy thing to do. How important was it for you to keep your day job while becoming an entrepreneur?
When you make the decision to go into business, if you are currently working a job, the decision to keep the job or not to keep the job is one of those very, very personal decisions, and there are a lot of factors that go into it. if you have the financial means basically and savings and things to be able to operate without any money coming in for 6 to 9 months while you're building up a revenue resource, then you may be able to go ahead and quit your job. If you don't, you may want to try to do them both at the same time. One of the things that I realized though while I had my job was the fact that I did not realize at the time that that job was actually holding me back. Because as long as I had that paycheck to fall back on, I did not go the extra mile that I needed to go to get the job done, because I always had the paycheck to follow up. But I had made a promise to myself when I started in business that as soon as that job started interfering with my business, I would let that job go. And when the job got to that point, that is exactly what I did. I didn't think about it. I did not go through 1,001 questions. I kept the promise I made to myself to let it go. And one of the things that I realized at the time is that I did that in a recession time period. I quit my job during a recession to go after my business full time, which everybody would have said, that's crazy. It's a recession. Why would you quit your job now? This is the worst time. For me, it was actually the best time, because I had a 43% increase in sales once I quit my job, because I no longer had that paycheck to fall back up on, and I did the extra mile. I went that extra mile that was needed to go to in order for me to become more profitable and start making a living out of what I was doing for my photography.
What part did networking play in developing your business?
95% of the work and the things that I've done has come from networking. Actually, it has come from word of mouth. Most of the people know about me because they've heard about me from 2 or 3 other people. And a lot of times what I've gotten is if 2 or 3 people, I talked to 2 or 3 different people and they all gave me your name, so you must be good. I love hearing that. I don't see myself that way, but it's nice hearing coming back how other people see you. Because one of the things that I have always done with my work is I deal with my clients on an individual basis, and I try to do the best for each individual client, no matter how big or how small, so that that quality, consistency, and service is something that I get known for.
Victor, you seem to be doing pretty well from what I can see. Would you consider yourself to be an overnight success?
If somebody would have asked me if I was an overnight success, I would have to laugh. Because one of the funny stories for me is, I do this and I do it well, and I'm not one of those people who do time. So my realization that I had been in business for 20 years came into me when I got a notification from one of those companies who sends you to buy those little stickers talking about congratulations, how many years you've been in business, and you buy the little stickers to put on things touting how long you've been in business. And I got that, and I realized, I looked at the mail and I'm like, oh my God, I've been in business for 20 years. So that was an interesting dynamic for me to actually have that appearance, because when I was starting out, you hear all the stories. It says, well, let's see how you're going to do. Like I said, most businesses fail in the first 5 years and those kinds of things. So when you start out as an entrepreneur and you hear those kinds of things, you might get discouraged because everything out there is pointing you towards failure as far as other people are concerned, because they're saying becoming a successful entrepreneur is a gamble. It's only a gamble if you don't believe in what you're doing and you don't put the efforts behind to create the results that are going to bring you to the level of success. And for me, success is a personal quest. Other people look at me and say, well, you've reached this level of success. I'm like, well, I've reached a certain level of acumen in my work, but as I've grown through the business, as I say, the ladder of success is constantly being moved. Because as an entrepreneur, every time you get close to a new plateau, you move the ladder to the next one. So you never stop trying to gain, to be the best that you can in the industry that you're in, and you never stop growing within it. If you do, you become stagnant, and that is not a formula for growth.
What about digital photography? Has that changed the way that you do business?
Starting out in this business, it was a lot easier as a professional because not everybody could do what we did because of the constraints and things of the technologies and things behind doing good photography. It requires film and knowing how to process and knowing how to get the good results and things. Our industry has transitioned now that it's gone digital and has made it much more accessible to more and more people, but yet it still requires a certain amount of craftsmanship of the, to produce a credible results. I tell everybody, I have a hammer and a saw, but I'm still not a carpenter. So the tool, by its very nature, does not make you does not make you a photographer. But a lot of people think that they are, because for me, there's a lot of photographers, there's a lot of picture takers, but not as many photographers. But since the industry has changed and the mindset of the potential clients has changed, they come from an attitude of good enough. That has caused me to rethink how I do my business, because I don't do good enough. I only do excellent, but I still needed to survive as a business person out here. So I had to figure out how to alter my business to maintain my growth and maintain my stability in a very fast changing market. And I did that by expanding my scope of services to include photography, videography, multimedia, digital graphics, digital output. And my tagline, which has always been more than just photography, took on a whole nother meaning. And I tell everybody, I am a creative services professional with a foundation in photography. That is what I sell these days. And I provide what is called one-stop shopping for the clientele, which gives me a competitive edge to create a greater sense of value for my business clients, because they like the simplicity of coming to one place and being able to get multiple services, and they know the quality consistency is across the board with all the services we provide.
So you've mentioned that the word try is a weak word. Can you give us your philosophy on that?
When you start out, you're given the concept, or you're programmed with the perspective of going out and trying to be an entrepreneur, and you do certain things going along that line. And throughout the years, I've talked to a lot of different people, and they've reached certain levels of success in their businesses. And I kept hearing them, I'm gonna try and do this, and I'm gonna try and do that. And it hit me one day that that's not a strong motivating factor to produce the kind of results that you're looking for. So I'm working to remove try out of the vocabulary of entrepreneurial concepts or perspectives, because entrepreneurs don't try anything. They execute various elements of success, and they do that through various steps. And one of the things that you learn in this is that there are no failures in the entrepreneurial track. There are things that do not work, but those are the things which point the way to something that actually does work. So, they said, I heard a story years ago, they said that when Thomas Edison was building the light bulb, he found 999 ways that did not work. He didn't fail 999 times. He progressed through 999 steps, which pointed him to the one that actually worked. Where would we be today if he stopped at 995 and gave up and said, can't find it? So one of the things that they learned in there is that there is no failure. There are only steps to your eventual success. And the things that they call failure are eliminating those from your possibilities of things that you have to worry about. Because I tried it didn't work, so let me try something else. I no longer have to think about that. And you get a more concise line of direction to where you're going. It's like taking in, like I said, there's 1,001 ways to get to California. But all of the paths will get you there. Your specific one that you take is the one that's important to you. What you decide you want to see, or whatever it is, but eventually you get to California, even if it's the long way around.
Okay, Victor, you've got to explain to us the concept of competing with yourself. You've got some serious competition.
All right, so when I started early in, I would go to the seminars and classes, and they would tell you about knowing your competition and going off, and know your competition, know where they are, what they're doing, and how they're doing different things from there. And, you've subscribed to that for a while, but then I came up to the realization later in life that I'm not competing with anyone except for myself. Everybody out here who is in the same business is a possible partner or collaborator on a project that may be bigger than what I need. If I look at them as competition, then I'm always going to be trying to be better than them and things along that line. I only need to be better. I only need to make sure that what I produce is always a reflection of my capabilities. Because I know they say that you're only as good as your last best effort. So I'm constantly striving to make sure that my last best effort is being improved upon with everything that I do. So I don't get into a route. I'm always fine-tuning my services. I'm always fine-tuning what I do. I'm always becoming the expert on what I need to do, not worrying about how other people are doing it, because that's what works for them. What works for me is what works for me, and the clients that want what I have, they will come from me. I'm not the lowest in town, I'm not the highest in town, but my clients know. They call me sometimes when it says, we call you when we know it has to be right. Because our budget, sometimes we can't afford you, but we need it to be right, we call you in. And that's a good thing to feel, and that's a good thing to know. That lets me know that the sense of being the best that I can be for myself has reached the goal of creating an end product that clients appreciate.
Considering your accomplishments, Victor, could you briefly outline a path to success?
My outline for a path to success would be, first, know what you want. Be the expert. Become as much of an expert as you possible about whatever it is that you're going after. Know your business and have an understanding of the business side of whatever it is that you're doing. Because no matter what it is, there is a business component to keep it alive. The cash flow balances and all the things which go into creating a successful enterprise begins with your knowledge base and then your actions based on that knowledge. The other aspect of it is be willing to put in the work. That is the most major aspect. And the thing about it is that you also must have a passion for what it is that you're doing. Because if you don't have a passion for it, you're just going through the process. You must really, because if you have a passion for something and execute it with the quality steps that are necessary to bring results, money will come. Don't go into it for the money. Even though that is a necessary part of business, let that stay in the lane that it's supposed to be in. It's the way that you pay your bills and maintain the growth of your business. But if you're doing it to make money, you're already doing it for the wrong reason. So your success will come because you are basically fall in love with whatever it is, your business or your service or your product, and sell your passion. The success will follow.
Now, Victor, how do you feel about retirement?
Retirement is one of those things that has gone through my mind months and months of times, and I love what I do. So retirement for me means doing it, but doing it differently. I see myself as being retired, and it means I'm doing photography no more than 3 days a week to do other things. But at the same token, I'm also embarking upon a second career that's a spinoff from what I do to bring the people out to get the good results out of my subjects. And I've watched how that works, and I've become a transformational author, and I am studying to become a life coach as in addition to what I do. So it's the retirement part is a little further off. Plus the fact I have a 13-year-old, so I have at least 10 years to think about that, because I'm not going to consider retirement until I get him out of college. But even because of what I do, I think I can be doing this for a much longer time. I will just be doing it at a different level. The hustle side of it will be down. I will do it for the passion of it, because I love what I do, and I love seeing how it's received by my subjects, my clients, and when I get a result and giving them a side of themselves that they've only imagined. That's a priceless feeling.
Thank you for joining us on Urban Genius's Road to Success.